everyone, and welcome to MSB News. I'm ladybirds. Recently, a breakthrough has been made in science where a compelling study reveals that the distribution of 3 ladybird species might be changing in the future due to climate change. Tonight, Dr. Coccinelli will join us in the studio to talk about his study. Thank you for joining us tonight, Dr. Coccinelli.
Thanks for having me, Lucy.
Would you like to explain us about your study? Why did you choose these 3 species?
Why, of course. So, for our study, we chose 3 species. These 3 species. And we chose them based on their degree of habitat specialization. Now, habitat specialization is how we talk about the preferences an individual has for where they live. So, a habitat specialist, which is someone who is very specialized, you could probably only find them in one kind of habitat, like maybe a tree, and they are very well adapted to this environment. They live there, they're very successful there. But when you have less habitat specialization, you have what we call a generalist. And a generalist can be found in a wide variety of habitats, maybe in a tree, by a river, in a park. But they're less well adapted, so they might not do as well in one individual habitat, but you can find them in a lot more. And so these are the 3 species we chose. We chose Coccinella septempunctata, which is a widespread habitat generalist that can be found all over Europe. We chose Hippodamia variegata, which is another widespread habitat generalist, though this one is more preferring of warmer climates than its counterpart, the septempunctata. And finally, we chose Coccinella quinquepunctata, which, while was previously thought to be a habitat generalist, recent work by Sloggett and Zylstra indicates that it might actually be a habitat specialist. So we thought that might be interesting to look at too.
Thank you, very interesting. Could you also enlighten us on how you conducted this study?
Why, of course. We were provided with a data set by our supervisor, John Sloggett, and this data set comprised of recordings at different locations down a transect that stretched from Groningen to Madrid. All the data was collected in the summer of 2012, and you can see it mapped here for each of the species we focused on. If you look at Coccinella septempunctata, you can see a very heavy kind of focus up north, and down south there seem to be less instances of ladybirds occurring. Hippodamia variegata is found mainly down south. You don't really see them up north. There's one instance in Belgium, but they're kind of absent from the Benelux region. And Coccinella quinquepunctata can be found also in the north. You can't actually find them further south than France. So this was an interesting pattern, and we related it to climate because I'm sure as we know, Spain and the south of France are much hotter than the environments we find in the north of the Netherlands. So we associated this kind of change in distribution with a climate preference.
Hang on! When I was in Spain, I saw a 5-spot, and you can't tell me otherwise.
I am really sorry. I have told you, you're the camera person. I've told you multiple times not to interfere with the news
But how
reports.
can this not be a coincidence?
Hang on. No, we acknowledge that it may be a coincidence, which is why we employed a statistical test. Now, if you'll just allow me, I will call our statistics expert to explain it further.
Hello? Oh, okay. So the first thing that we had to do was prove that the distribution of the ladybirds is actually influenced by latitude. We did this by performing a chi-square test and a Spearman's rank test. So these both basically measured how related 2 different variables are. So the chi-square test showed that the different climatic regions had different population sizes, and the Spearman's rank test proved that population numbers for all 3 species are significantly different with changing latitude. And we use latitude as a stand-in for climate, by the way. I hope that helped. Thanks. Okay, fine. I'll accept the stats. I can't argue with the maths.
We will now speak to Professor Summer Fields, whom Dr. Coccinelli has worked with during this project. We have her on the line. Good evening, Professor Fields. Thank you for being with us here today. Could you briefly tell us about the climatic research that was conducted and future predictions?
Good evening, Lucy. Thank you for inviting me. So the first thing we did was collect climatic data for 2012. That was done using the weather stations along the transect. What we found was that Spain was an arid region. So that means that there is a hot and dry summers. As we move towards the north, the summers would get less dry and less hot. That means that the Netherlands and Belgium have the coolest and most humid summers of the transect. Next, we use climatic predictions models to have an overview of what 2112, so a century from now, would look like, climate-wise, obviously. What we saw was that the temperature would rise while the humidity would decrease. What that means is that while the north will be still relatively humid, it will also be hotter. But more importantly, the arid conditions that were first only found in southern Europe will now be found all the way towards northern France, which is obviously a game changer for our ladybirds. Lucy, I give you back the mic.
Thank you, Professor Fields. Now I would like to ask you, Dr. Coccinelli, how does this relate to your study?
Well, if you Whoa, I'm grade 8. This is 2032, right?
It's 2020?
Oh man, Doc messed up the dates again! Whoa! How'd you get a graph in 2112? That's when I'm from. Man, you even got the climatic regions right? No way. Oh, I knew something was wrong. It felt a bit chilly since I arrived here. That higher humidity, lower humidity, higher temperature, that'll get to you. Oh, I know you recognise this graph. I used to study this bad boy in high school. Man, past climatology was such a pain. So many climatic shifts in not such a long time, you know? Or, I guess, you will know. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing 5 spots so low down on the transect. But good to see 7 spots aren't fussy, just like in your time, you know? Or, they're still not fussy in my time. This time travel thing's pretty confusing. I mean, I better scoot. I got a world record to beat in 2032. Most ladybirds counted in one field. Not as easy as you'd think. Better scoot. Oh, and if you've got any cassettes, don't throw them out. They make a comeback.
Okay.
Oh, we're still
It's
filming,
on.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, he seemed like a cool guy. Let's go on. So we also managed to contact 3 individual ladybirds to represent each species, and we're really happy to have them with us at a conference call today. Okay, good evening, ladybirds, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Could you quickly present yourselves to everyone?
Yes, so hi, I'm Coccinella septem.tata. I'm a generalist, so I can basically live everywhere along the transect, but depending on where we are, me and my friends have different mating behaviors. So the ones more in the south, so like in Spain and south of France, they mate 2 times a year, like before and after the summer, and they have a break in between to avoid the heat mainly. But at higher latitudes, they mate only 1 time at the start of the summer.
Name's Variegata, Hippodamia variegata, and I'm a generalist too, but don't get me wrong, I have a very strong preference for dry and hot environments, which is why I'm mainly found in Spain and in the south of France.
Hi, I am Coccinella punctata. Unlike them, I'm a specialist. I'm restricted to humid habitats or near water when humidity is insufficient. Me and my friends mostly live in northern countries where humidity is higher and temperatures are lower.
Thank you. I would also like to ask, how will exactly these presented predictions affect all of you, and how do you feel about these effects that the climate change might impose on you?
So as you can see, I will be forced to pack and move to even more northern areas where the humidity and temperature requirements are met. And since I am very picky, I hope the circumstances will not change too much. I'm starting to get very anxious.
Well, too bad for you. So personally, for me, it won't change too much because I have a large adaptability. But it is likely that my friends at higher latitudes will also start to mate 2 times a year because the heat will progress.
Haha, well, it seems like I'm the winner of this change. More and more regions will start to get hotter and drier, which is perfect for me. All I need to do is move to the new habitats and colonize them.
Okay, I guess we need to stop this interview before it gets too competitive. So I would like to thank you all again and just wish you a good night and good luck for the future, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Anyway, I would like to thank everyone who was with us here tonight. So, Dr. Coccinelli, is there anything else you would like to add that our viewers could take out of this research for the future?
Yes, I think it's very important that despite what our time-travelling friend may seem to have said, we keep in mind that a lot of our predictions are based off of models, and we don't really know how climate change is going to play out. So if we really want to get a much better understanding of how a rise in temperature or change in humidity may affect these species, we should strive to study their physiology a lot more in depth. Obviously, my team and I were restrained in this regard and couldn't do any lab work. We had to analyze data, but definitely going forward, I think that's how we can shine a greater light on this subject.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned for next week, where we will find new compelling research from Dr. Coccinelli. Good night.
Oh well, if we look at it...
Get up, that was funny!
No, we should start again.